Welcome to the first episode of Robots, Androids, Cyborgs, and Zombies, the show where we study the connection between human and machine. Chicago is leading the way in funding and innovating to develop the most advanced predictive analysis system, analytical system yet, which uses advanced algorithms to compile a list of individuals most likely to commit a crime. Pre-crime is here. The department database records phoned incidents and locations where crimes occur frequently to create maps of the city that highlight hotspots for criminal activity. It also keeps track of everyone arrested or convicted of a crime. Yes, you are tracked if you commit a crime in Chicago. It employs a formula to identify the 400 most dangerous people in the city. The program has grown in part from a grant of $2 million from the National Institute of Justice, which handed out millions to police departments in 2009 to build crime predictive systems. It even includes a telephone call to these potential criminals to let them know they're being watched. It's kind of creepy, right? You know, we think of robots as these machines that we then put computer brains in. But with AI getting so advanced, essentially there will be a cloud intelligence for these robots. And they'll just be shells that are directed by Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or some sort of quantum communication. It's really an amazing time to be alive. I don't think we should fear robotics, but we should definitely be aware of the trends and see the waves. There's a saying, if it can be done by technology, it will be done by technology. So, things are coming. Here's a burger flipping robot that could put fast food workers out of a job. A company called Momentum Machines has built a robot that could radically change the fast food industry and have some line cooks looking for new jobs. This can slice tomatoes and pickles immediately before it places them on your bun. It can produce 360 hamburgers per hour, one every 10 seconds. You know, the thing about robots is they are going to be able to do a lot of jobs much, much better than humans. Look where industry's gotten us. It just got us more stuff. Back in the day, there was plenty of stuff for everybody. After the Industrial Revolution had really taken hold and the 1900s had presented themselves, people had plenty of stuff. And it was the marketers that sold the idea that people needed more things. Marketing really seduced people into wanting more stuff. This fueled the 40-hour work week, the 2-week-a-year vacation. This industry of workforce, keeping people occupied, has become an industry that's nearly unstoppable. It's become evolved into the service industry, the information industry, much of which can be done by robots. What's going to happen to humanity in the next 50 years? I don't think it's anything to fear, but it's something to be aware of, something to be aware of. Here we have a monkey that can control another monkey. That's right. They developed a brain-to-spinal cord prosthesis that connects two adult male rhesus monkeys. It was inspired by the movie Avatar, Williams said. The monkey that served as the master had electrodes wired into his brain, while the monkey that served as the avatar had electrodes wired into his spine. The avatar's hand was placed on a joystick that controlled a cursor to display it on the master's screen. Sure enough, the master monkey was able to control the hand of the slave monkey. We envision putting a microchip into the brain to record the activity behind the intent for movement, and putting another microchip in the spinal cord below the site of the injury to stimulate that limb's movement, and then connecting the two microchips. Well, that's the goal, according to these researchers, is that you'll be able to connect a human to their own body. A human's brain that's been severed from controlling the body through an accident, say a paraplegic or quadriplegic, and installing microchips such that that gap will no longer be preventing the person from functioning as a regular human. That sounds pretty good. That sounds really good. What else could it do? Of course, it could do so much more. Just because things can be used for nefarious reasons doesn't mean we shouldn't pursue that technology. But to be blind to the fact that these things could be used for nefarious purposes is dangerous. Humanity more now than ever before is required to be aware of how technology is evolving and how it's being implemented into our lives. It's a very, very real thing, and it's very important. DARPA, building robots with real brains. No, they are not putting human tissue into the robots. They're just designing robotic computer brains modeled on neurons and neural networks. But that does happen. There are actually robots with little rat brain cultures that control them. This is going to be really amazing. Your dog will be able to live on forever, at least another 50 years or so. You'll be able to take the brain out, refresh it with a few chemicals and nanobots, and stick it into a robot. Yes, your dog will have a robot body, but it'll still be your dog. It'll still have the same personality. Heck, you could probably even install some communication software, some vocal recognition software and translating information. So it no longer is just blind barking. It'll say, "Hey, I'm hungry." Controversial first. Scientists edit DNA in human embryo, raising concerns of genome changes. Go figure. Guangzhou, China. For the first time, scientists have edited DNA in human embryos, a highly controversial move, garnering much criticism in the scientific community. Using new technology, Junji Huang and his colleague Sun Yat-sen, his colleagues at Sun Yat-sen University in Guangzhou, China, performed experiments on 86 human embryos attempting to alter the gene called HBB, which can cause the fatal blood disorder known as beta thalassemia. What the Chinese did is they took a human embryo that harbored a mutation that caused a certain blood disorder, and they literally went in and precisely cut out the bad piece and replaced it with a good piece to eliminate that particular disorder. It's pretty exciting, right? It seems like a good thing. Make a human's life better. They have a fatal disorder, well guess what? Now they can live. But guess what else? They're reproducing children, these people who have had their lives granted to them through science, then giving birth to offspring. That offspring's DNA is going to spread out through the genome for the next million years. I'm not saying we should sterilize people who have this done to them, but it's the kind of thing, in my opinion, maybe it's better not to court this can of worms, this Pandora's box. I don't want to be a xenophobe, but if people are being given lives by science, and their offspring will also need that life-saving procedure done, it really raises the issue in question of how much in resources is going to go into keeping humans alive. You know, let's say there's some heart valve problem that would cause early death in a child without a heart transplant. Well, let's say they can go in and, stitch it up or something. well, then that person has a birth to a child that has that same problem. That child will need that same procedure. There's something there. There's a momentum there that it scares me a little bit. I was born healthy, and so maybe I don't have full room to talk and think about these things with a full heart and clear thinking. But we're really playing with some dangerous tools. Here's a really interesting one. BBC to use face scanning technology to shed light on viewers' tastes. That's right, they have tested it and they decided it's a go-ahead. By watching people's faces and using certain metrics, they're able to understand the emotional responses of people to the programming. We can say, oh, this is really interesting. They'll be able to cultivate programs that appeal to these people, to people in mass in the future. I don't think people realize, but programming right now is a pretty linear thing. You make a program, you air the program, people watch the program. But in the future, with super advanced technology, there will be a pool of potential for that program. Even the announcers will be computer generated, so they can take on the shape of a man that's really handsome, a woman that's really beautiful,